Daniel had been taken from Jerusalem as a young man when Babylon conquered Israel. He'd been brought to the king's court to be trained, to become a servant of the empire. But from the very beginning, Daniel was different. He refused to eat the king's food because it violated God's laws. He interpreted dreams that no one else could. He walked with integrity in a corrupt system, decade after decade. When Babylon fell to the Medo-Persian Empire, the new king, Darius the Mede, recognized something extraordinary in Daniel and promoted him above all the other officials in the empire. The Bible says Darius planned to set Daniel over the entire kingdom. And that's when the trouble started. The other administrators and satraps, the political officials, were furious. Daniel was a foreigner, a Hebrew, a captive, and he was about to be given authority over all of them. So they tried to find something they could use against him. They investigated every aspect of his life, his work, his finances, his decisions, his relationships. And they found nothing. The Bible says they could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. There was only one area left, his faith. They went to King Darius with a proposal. King Darius, live forever. The royal administrators, prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce the decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being during the next 30 days, except to you, your majesty, shall be thrown into the lion's den. The king liked the idea. He signed the decree. Under Persian law, a law signed by the king could not be revoked, not even by the king himself. The trap was set, and Daniel knew about it. He read the decree himself, and then he went home, went upstairs to his room, and opened his window, as usual, toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day, he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. His enemies watched. They caught him praying. They went straight to the king. Did you not publish a decree that during the next 30 days, anyone who prays to any god or human being except to you, your majesty, would be thrown into the lion's den? The king confirmed it. Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put in writing. He still prays 3 times a day. The Bible says when Darius heard this, he was greatly distressed. He loved Daniel. He tried all day to find a legal way to rescue him. He couldn't. The law was the law. At sunset, he gave the order. Daniel was brought to the den and thrown in. Before the stone was placed over the mouth of the den, King Darius said to Daniel something remarkable. He said, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." The stone was placed. The king sealed it. And then Darius went back to his palace, and he couldn't eat. He refused all entertainment. He couldn't sleep. He spent the whole night without any comfort. At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. He called out in an anguished voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" Silence. A long silence. And then a voice came from inside the den. "May the king live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty." The king was overjoyed. He commanded them to lift Daniel out. And when they lifted him from the den, no wound was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. Then the king gave another order. The men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought and thrown into the lion's den. Darius then wrote to all the nations, "In every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever." An entire empire, changed by one man's faithfulness. Let's go back to that question from the hook. What did Daniel do that kept him alive? The obvious answer is, God sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths. But the real answer, the deeper answer, is what Daniel did before he ever got to the den. He chose, decades earlier, to live a life so consistent in his faith that when the pressure came, he had no decision to make. He didn't have to think about it. He didn't have to weigh up whether it was worth it. He'd already decided long ago. Every morning, every noon, every evening, for decades, He opened his window toward Jerusalem and he prayed. The lion's den wasn't the test. It was the result of a test he'd been passing every single day for years. Integrity in private is always proven in public eventually. And here's something else. Daniel didn't pray because he thought prayer would get him out of trouble. He prayed because that's who he was. His communion with God wasn't a tactic. It wasn't leverage. It was his life. That's why Darius himself said, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." Even the pagan king knew that Daniel's God wasn't someone he turned to in emergencies. Daniel served him continually. The message for you, 5:15 to 6:15. We live in a world that will always find a law, a rule, a pressure, a cost to make following God inconvenient. It is. The question is, what are you doing today in the quiet and the ordinary that will carry you through it? Daniel prayed 3 times a day, not because it was easy, but because it was essential. And those thousands of ordinary, unwitnessed moments of faithfulness were what prepared him for the one extraordinary moment that changed an empire. Your faithfulness right now, in your private life, in your small daily choices, in the moments nobody sees, is preparing you for something. And the God who shut the mouths of lions is the same God who sees every single one of those quiet moments. Be like Daniel, not just in the den, but every day before it. If this story challenged you or encouraged you, please share it. Someone needs to hear that faithfulness in the small things matters. Hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story like this. And tell me in the comments, what is your lion's den? What are you facing right now that feels bigger than you? Because you are not facing it alone. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.